Back in September, General Motors struck up a deal with EV startup Nikola to make and sell electric trucks. The news threw the automotive industry through a loop. Why the heck would such a big company like GM partner with Nikola, a company with no track record? The events that followed can only be described as an absolute cluster truck. There were lies, there were lawsuits, and there was even a sex scandal. How did such a shady company get anyone to trust them? Why are the feds coming after Nikola's founder? And why hasn't GM pulled out of the deal? We're gonna find out. Big thanks to Amaze for sponsoring this episode of Wheelhouse. I don't know about you guys, but I like cars that serve multiple purposes. Sometimes I just want a comfy SUV to meander down to the beach at sunset in. Doesn't that sound relaxing? Other times, I want this. Well, the Audi RS Q8 is the car that can do both, and thanks to Amaze, it could be yours with taxes and shipping included. And because they like you guys, an extra $20,000 cash. The RS Q8 is 591 horsepower of luxury German fun that set a lap record at the Nürburgring. It's an SUV, it's a big old German thing, super comfy. It's got freaking cooled seats. Make sure your butt doesn't sweat. So hurry up and head on over again to amaze.com/donut and enter to win now. Good luck. Let's get back to the episode. Electric vehicles are becoming a bigger sector of the automotive industry every year. And in order to stay relevant in the years to come, automakers need to make major electric moves. Moves like a full-size electric truck. The first OEM to offer an affordable, capable, and reliable pickup truck is going to be raking it in. So it's natural that GM would maximize efforts to take a piece of that market. They're one of the largest and most storied multinational auto manufacturers in the world, but they're not very big on taking risks. So in classic GM fashion, they're a little late to the EV game. So before we talk about why the GM Nikola deal might be a huge mistake, let's take a look at the founder of Nikola, possibly the biggest con man the car world has ever seen. Let me tell you, I've seen a lot. Also, I want to state for the record that I, Nolan Sykes, do not hold any stock in either of these companies, neither does Donut Media. Any opinions in this video are motivated by genuine confusion and a lot of frustration. The man behind Nikola Motor Company and the character at the center of this future HBO documentary series is this guy, Trevor Milton. He's a college dropout from Utah and one of those guys with an overactive entrepreneurial spirit, which means he probably doesn't tip servers. Plus, he's got a couple business failures under his belt. In 2014, Milton joined the race to beat Tesla and founded his own EV company with a suspiciously similar name, Nikola. Why would you can't name your company after the same guy. It's like starting a car company named Henry. Anyway, Milton's mission for Nikola was to be a leading manufacturer of battery and hydrogen-fueled, zero-emission semi-trucks. So he assembled a team with no relevant experience. For example, his brother Travis, whose most recent work experience was pouring concrete on driveways, was named Director of Hydrogen Production and Infrastructure. I'm not saying pouring concrete is a bad job. He's probably very good at it. I'm just saying, what the hell does he know about hydrogen production? But somehow, through charisma and luck, Trevor and his bro managed to drum up interest in their startup. In 2016, a mere 2 years after it was founded, Nikola unveiled the Nikola One, their hydrogen-fueled Class 8 truck, which was projected to go into production in 2020. And I'll admit, the prototype looked pretty awesome. And despite its lack of any proven technology, Milton claimed over and over that the truck was, quote, not a pusher.
This is not a pusher.
It's not just a pusher.
And that it was, quote, fully functional.
It's a fully functioning vehicle, which is really incredible.
The lady doth protest too much, methinks. Despite the weirdly defensive statements, maker of Crispy Boys Anheuser-Busch bought into the buzz and provisionally ordered 800 trucks. This was a huge moment for Nikola, as the order for this trucks placed by Anheuser generated massive interest, investment, and more pre-orders. And on June 24th of this year, Nikola's stocks went public, making Milton an overnight billionaire and legitimizing Nikola as a force in the electric truck game. And then something happened that no one anticipated. On September 8th of this year, GM announced that it'd be teaming up with Nikola to manufacture Nikola's new electric and hydrogen-fueled pickup called the Badger. The Badger would have up to 906 horsepower and 980 foot-pounds of torque, a 600-mile range, plus insane options like water fountains and refrigerators. I actually do like how the thing looks. It's got like electric Raptor vibes. If it was real, it'd be cool. Up until this point, Nikola had been developing the Badger by themselves, but under the GM deal, they would still design and sell it under the Nikola name, but GM would lend the hydrogen fuel cell technology they developed with Honda, as well as their new Ultium battery. For providing the much needed tech and engineering, GM would get 11% of the company in return. That's equivalent to $2 billion in equity. It's a lot of moolah. But that's not all. They would also be the sole provider of fuel cells in all Class 7 and 8 trucks outside of Europe for 4 years. Plus, they would nominate a director to Nikola's board. This deal was major, and when it was announced, Nikola's stock shot up by 33%, which I don't own any stock, so I don't know what that means. I don't know if that sounds big. It's big. At the time, it seemed like a win for everyone involved, and they all lived happily ever after. For 2 days. On September 10th, something big happened. These guys called the Hindenburg Research Group released a report called, quote, Nikola, how to parlay an ocean of lies into a partnership with the largest OEM in America. This thing is the Hindenburg of reports, a 67-page scathing takedown of Nikola and Trevor Milton. It explains in great detail how his entire career is built upon dozens of lies that he somehow managed to jockey into a $20 billion company. But why believe these guys? Who's to say the report isn't just a bunch of malarkey? Well, for one thing, they had the receipts. There were documents, emails, texts, and a long list of whistleblowers ready to out Trevor for the liar he is. It is juicy, it is ruthless, and it was the catalyst for this giant controversy. Let's go over just a few of the most shocking lies that the report uncovered. Remember when Nikola unveiled the Nikola One, the electric semi that launched his company into the billions? Well, it never worked. Bloomberg initially reported that it was never even completed. It couldn't even power itself at the unveiling. There was a cable snaked up through the stage so its lights turned on. They had artists stencil H2 and zero emission on the side of the truck, even though it had zero hydrogen components on board. Multiple whistleblowers that worked on the launch said that they had to run to the hardware store for loose parts during the show. That's some donut shit right there. You know what? Props. Shout out to Leah. Actually, this stool's you'd like a little. Leah, under pressure, Milton eventually admitted that it was never finished, but claimed that he never said it was, but he did many times. In another bold move of complete dishonesty, Milton released a video of the Nikola One, quote, in motion. It was pretty sick, I remember watching it. It was a zero-emission semi-truck speeding down a highway in the desert. But according to text messages from a former employee, this was also a lie. The semi was actually towed to the top of the hill and rolled down it like a Tonka truck. And Milton didn't just lie about the vehicles he wasn't making. In 2019, Trevor claimed that Nikola's headquarters were powered completely by 3.5 megawatt solar panels that he had installed on the roof.
We have 3.5 megawatts of solar up on the roof producing about...
However, aerial photos show no such panels. I mean, that's not even a good lie. Eddie with a drone could disprove it. If you say, okay, yeah, like we've got solar panels on the building, nobody's gonna be like, really? Really? I'm gonna go check it out. It's more like, okay, we know this guy's a liar. Let's just see if he's lying about this stuff. And then we find out that that's a lie. In the same year, Nikola promised a new battery that would revolutionize the industry, but it turned out to be vaporware, was totally non-existent. And the president of the acquiring company had been found to use a NASA expense account to procure sex workers. You gotta use your own money for that, dude. This year, Milton claimed that just like Tesla, all of Nikola's components were made internally.
But we do all the e-axle design in-house, all the gears, the gear reductions, the thermal, the cooling, even the controls that go with it, and also the inverters as well.
But it only takes a quick Google image search to reveal that his inverters are actually from a company called Cascadia, and that he covered their logo with some electrical tape in promotional videos. Premiere isn't even that hard to use. I can figure out how to do that. You don't need to use electrical tape. Look, that is a lot of lying, and that's not even everything. I gave you just little bits and pieces. Built on the lies of a poor man's Elon Musk, A sham just like that one lady with the deep voice with the blood pills.
This is what happens when you work to change things.
This is what happens when people think you're not doing something and you are. Of course, Trevor Milton and Nikola did deny the allegations of fraud, but with all of Hindenburg's receipts, well, the damage had been done. The Department of Justice launched a federal investigation into Milton's lies about having technology and the misleading investors. With the feds on his tails for fraud, Milton stuck his tail between his legs and resigned as Nikola's executive chairman. And still, for some reason, GM stuck by their deal with Nikola, even as the cards kept falling around this poor company. Maybe with Milton gone, they could help salvage the Nikola name. After all, his replacement as executive chairman was Steven Gursky, a former GM vice chairman who just happened to be the architect of the deal with GM. A total coincidence, I'm sure. Maybe the whole Milton debacle would just stay in the rear view where it belonged and damage control could commence. But then, another bomb dropped on Nikola. Two women, one of whom was Milton's cousin, accused Trevor of sexual assault. Whoa, if you thought this guy was bad now, this really sends old Milton into a deeper level of hell, okay? Milton, quote, strongly denies the allegations, but quite frankly, his track record doesn't bode well for his credibility. After the news broke, GM changed their tone regarding the deal with Nikola for the first time, quoting, "In light of recent allegations regarding the personal behavior of Nikola's former executive chairman, Trevor Milton, we want to emphasize that GM strongly condemns sexual harassment and abuse of any kind." And it seemed like the deal might finally come to a bitter end. No one wants to be involved with a sexual assault scandal. But to everyone's surprise, GM didn't back out and negotiations are continuing. So why is GM doing this? Why would they want to be associated with the absolute dumpster fire that Nikola has become? The simple answer is that there's no downside for GM in this deal. It costs them nothing. There are several outs in the agreement, and all they would have to do is employ technology that they were already developing and producing. If the partnership somehow succeeds after all this, GM gets a stake in the company, a sweet deal providing fuel cells, and maybe most importantly, practice running an EV company on someone else's dime. It's pretty genius. From a reputation perspective though, GM can stay relatively under the radar when it comes to their partnership with Nikola. The EVs they produce would be branded, sold, and repaired by Nikola. GM stays clean from complaining customers, and if you're not watching the finance and automotive headlines like I am, the average consumer would barely notice. If Nikola goes under, the worst damage that GM would sustain is a temporary black eye on its reputation. Plus, they get Nikola's facilities, which would support their need for EV real estate. There's no downside. They come out relatively unscathed if it goes bad, and if Nikola happens to deliver after GM gives them all the tech they need, then that's a huge move in the race against Tesla. It's just a win-win all around for GM. Things are coming up General Motors. I think the big question that we're all waiting to be answered as the story develops is, will GM pull out of the deal? They don't have much to lose from it, but in light of recent revelations, it seems that the reputation backlash might be bigger than expected. After all, Miltman is a convoy and an accused sexual assaulter. Not a great name to be connected to. I think they're going to use this to their advantage and do some major strong arming while renegotiating terms. I think they'll take a much larger percentage of the company, probably around 30%, and along with Steven Gursky, lead a sort of rebrand and hopefully name change to close the deal. GM is under major pressure to compete with Tesla, and with the Tesla Semi's arrival creeping up on us, GM has an opportunity to give them a roll down the hill for their money. I think they're going to treat Nikola like their EV branch while maintaining a safe enough distance as to not tank their reputation completely. Do I think they should do this? Not really. I think they should back out of the deal and distance themselves from the bad vibes and continue to work with Honda to make their own EVs. I mean, after all, the Bolt has more technology in it than the entire Nikola facility. Thank you very much for watching Wheelhouse this week. It means a lot. I really love EVs, so to see this huckster come in and take advantage of people's optimism, basically, for this technology is really messed up and kind of sets EVs back a little bit. But this kind of stuff happens in every technological leap, so I'm not surprised that. We have a podcast. Not a lot of you know that. If you want to hear more in-depth, hour-long stories from car history, check out Past Gas wherever you get your podcasts. Also, we have a membership program. If you hit that join button down there, you get access to a Discord server, behind-the-scenes videos, and special stickers and offers before anyone else. And we're not going behind a paywall or anything. It's just like bonus stuff for those like extra hardcore donut fans. It's just a little something extra. Thank you very much for watching. Be kind. I'll see you next time.